If you're having paranormal issues, contact us at mwghosthunters.com. From the files of the Midwest Ghost Hunters.
All right, Midwest Ghost Hunters site investigation, recorder 1.
Oh, Dustin, right there. Something just moved behind you.
Yes, it did. What the was that?
What happened?
Something touched my ear, man.
What's that?
This is Dark Matter with Midwest Ghost Hunters.
We're Pythian Castle again. Thanks for downloading another episode of our podcast. We had Adrian on the podcast last time. If you haven't listened to that episode, be sure to listen to it. She just was telling us a little bit about some of the paranormal experiences that she's had throughout her life. And we've invited anybody who's got any kind of story to tell to email us, contact at mwghosthunters.com. It could be a UFO. It could be an abduction story. That would be pretty cool.
Time travel.
Dustin really wants time travel.
Bigfoot.
Like a Matrix glitch or Bigfoot or anything like that at all. If you got like even your local cryptid to your area that we've never heard of, you can email us and we would love to talk to you about it. Contact at mwghosthunters.com.
We will do absolutely nothing to help you.
No.
We just want to hear about it.
Yeah, we want to hear you tell your story. As far as offering help, that's not gonna happen. Not from us anyway. A couple of podcasts ago, and because we had her, Adrian on the podcast last time, we didn't really get to these, but we did catch some EVPs during the podcast, during the one that was me and Hunter and Dustin. We were the only three that made it that time, but we did catch a few EVPs during that. I thought we might go ahead and start by playing a few of those. Let's see. Let me go ahead and pull one up here. Here we go.
I remember thinking, okay, I'm probably going to die.
Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
So we heard that. That's what I was just saying. As I listened to, these three EVPs, I heard all three of these as we were recording the podcast. You want me to play it again?
Yeah.
I saw you perk up. Let's do it again.
I remember thinking, okay, I'm probably going to die.
Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
So what we were talking about, it sounds kind of like Sling Blades.
Sounds kind of like Dustin saying,
Sounds like
but Dustin's talking.
Sounds like he wants a biscuit with mustard on it.
Doesn't that sound, to me, that sounds like Dustin. If you listen to that sounds like Dustin saying,
Yeah, it does.
But it can't be because he's talking.
I'm a little behind. My brain just caught up with the biscuit with mustard on it. It's really funny.
So it's interesting if it was a hillbilly ghost behind you, because you were talking about Mars Hill.
I got to tell you real quick, if I ever do get haunted, please, for the love of everything, don't let it be a hillbilly ghost.
I don't know how to stop it. How do I pick?
I don't know.
Tell me and I'll pick.
I don't know, but if you find out,
I'll pick you a refined ghost wearing a flowing...
I've been around hillbillies enough.
Victorian dress.
Dustin finally gets settled down in his house, gets all comfortable, and he decides to run an audio recorder, and he catches howdy.
Oh. It's just the worst.
Well, hell, he can catch that in real life right outside.
Just got to walk out my front door to hear howdy. I don't need to hear. I hear it enough from alive people. I don't want dead people yelling it at me.
He had a hell of a night. I don't know if it's something you want to get into on here, but
it's nothing. I did too. I live right next to him.
I know. Oh, you heard it too?
I was awake. Yeah.
We were in constant communication.
We called each other 15, 16 times over it.
And this happened like throughout. What we're talking about here is not paranormal. We're talking about.
But it would be a great episode of On Patrol.
No, it's abnormal.
It's also not normal.
It's abnormal. It was just like, what was it? A domestic abuse, and I would imagine there was probably alcohol involved at some level.
I don't even want to talk about it because people listening are like, man, they're going to picture where I live, and I promise you, it's a nice house.
It's not like that.
My house is great. I love it.
It's not like that.
That's why you got such a good deal on the house.
This is a one-off type thing. But you experience this shit everywhere you live.
I was thinking about it. I was like, I wish you'd just move away. Because wherever you go, ridiculous shit just follows you.
I don't know. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Have we ever talked about what was happening at our...
You talked one time about the crazy lady, because I referred to the video you sent of you saying, hey, I saw you on my porch, and she just turns and walks away. Because remember, me and John were picturing an old woman, and you said, no, she's young, like 20-something.
Yeah, she's like our age. So me and Bobby and I have both confronted her on two separate occasions.
Well, this is at your old place, what we're talking about now.
This is at my old place, yeah.
And now, where you live now is near Dustin, and now you've got...
Okay, hold on. So let me go back to the lady before. She had stolen stuff off of our porch and then denied it with it being on her front porch where we can see. She had gone through our trash. She had stolen our mail. She stole our spare key, tried to get in our house with it. Thank God I changed the locks.
Such a great episode of On Patrol, the TV show. Continue.
Oh yeah. Well, the cops have been out there several times.
They weren't helpful though.
No.
They had bad knees.
No, not at all. We moved again over by Dustin. And now these new people have moved into this house.
Right between you.
Right between us.
Right between you.
Literally, our house the renter's house, and then Dustin's house. Right in between us. And last night at 2 a.m., they were outside just screaming. Just screaming at each other.
Screaming, chasing each other, shirts off.
Going to get back up and coming back.
Racial slurs.
Busting down doors.
Racial slurs.
Racial slurs.
Oh, yes. But yes.
So
they were all very Caucasian, but.
Oh, very white, yeah.
Lord, it's not funny, but it's ridiculous.
That's kind of funny. But they were doing weird shit all night. Like one of them, they got in their car and didn't get out for like 25 minutes. They pulled down my driveway a little bit. Shut their lights off, sat there for another 15 minutes, backed up, sat in the road, in the middle of the road for another 5 minutes.
Look, if there are any ghosts listening, please go haunt them. You can follow me and I'll point you in the direction you can go.
This is further proof of our claim that we've made many times that living humans are far scarier.
Oh, far scarier.
Than anything that we've ever experienced.
And they also smell worse.
I don't know what that means.
I had my window open, and when they were running by, I could just almost
You could smell the BO and Axe.
Just trashy nonsense.
The smell of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Lord.
Pabst and Axe.
Axe chocolate. Pabst.
All right, Pabst and Axe. That's
I may end up passing away in the middle of the podcast just because what happened to him? He couldn't get in the air. He's just laughing so hard.
We got a couple more EVPs here we can play, and these are from 2 podcasts ago. Let's see. Let me go ahead and pull this one up here. I have a lot of those. Was that behind? Okay, I heard that behind. I didn't hear that a minute ago when I played it, but I heard it that time. It says like "hey" or something.
Yeah, this happened a couple of times, and there was a "hey."
Okay, let's do it one more time. I have a lot of those. Yeah.
Hey.
I'm having trouble hearing that. I gotta be honest with you.
It's at the very beginning. Here we go. One more. Last time. I have a lot of those. Right behind there. I don't know. I don't know what that is. And then this one is also called "hey." That one would be what was that? Oh, okay. That was a whispered one. I heard that. I remember hearing that one as we did it, and we'll do it one more time here. That one would be what was that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, that was the podcast where me and you and Hunter were here doing it alone. So, what's funny is I like to listen. I've said this before. I just randomly pick one of our podcasts and I'll listen to it just to hear, different, what sounds good, what doesn't and all that stuff. And I pulled up one from now not September that I've referred to before, but last summer, almost a year ago when we were talking about going back out to Ashley's house. And then we referred to it again. We buckled down. We dug our heels in September and said, we're going to do it. We're going to do it before Halloween. And we had her on the podcast talking about, tell us a little bit about what we're going to experience here in a couple of weeks. And as we sit here now, we still haven't done it.
Sounds about right, yeah.
I think it's now more of a 4th of July thing.
Well, hell, I mean, if you go back 2 years ago, we were talking about Mars Hill doing it. We're definitely going to do it this summer. That was 2 years ago that we were talking about doing it.
People that are new, that think that this is our job, right?
Right, yeah.
They need to realize that it's not.
Well, yeah, it's not. No, we work full time doing other stuff through the week, and that's one of the things that makes it hard, to choreograph getting 7 or 8 people together, especially with the Ashley one, because everybody wants to go to experience what we've experienced there before. So it's difficult, especially when it's November, December, January. You've got not only the holidays, but the weather to contend with.
I think we were really going to try to do it in December too.
We were,
but I was out of state.
We had the Bury Me in Black come up. It was like one they wanted it done soon. So it bumped ahead. And then the skilled nursing facility we did, bumped ahead too, because, honestly, not to say it passively, but the stuff at Ashley's house isn't going anywhere.
No, that's like a for sure thing. That's why everybody wants to go. That'd be like going to the zoo and being like, I wonder if I'm going to see any animals today.
Yeah. So we aren't going to go there again. That's as of right now, anyway, that's the next one we have planned, unless, some big emergency pops up again. But anyway, we are going to.
So by next Christmas,
we will have this thing in the can.
We'll have it in there.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to bring up, simply because nobody else had anything specifically, I was going to bring up, this is a free event that's coming up, and it's not anywhere close, but it would be worth traveling to in Western North Carolina. It begins on May 18th, and this is the annual Bigfoot Festival.
That's me rubbing my hands together if you can't tell.
See his face. You didn't look up anything. So
No, he just sits here and listens and critiques everything we decide to talk
We didn't
about.
used to talk about goddamn Bigfoot every podcast.
We've always
either.
talked about Bigfoot.
We have talked about
Always.
Bigfoot since the beginning of this podcast, back at the radio station.
We were in our cribs talking about Bigfoot.
You just didn't always have a frowny face on when we did it.
Anyway, this is coming to, and we don't have to talk about this, but I was going to mention it because I like to bring Bigfoot stuff up now.
It's funny when we talk
just
about
to see
when we talk
faces.
about Bigfoot, how many people around the table pull out their phones and start
See, I'm going to catch up on my correspondence while we talk about. But no, it is coming. It's coming to, what did I say? Western North Carolina, and it's free. Did I mention that? May 18th, the Bigfoot Festival in Marion, North Carolina.
What kind of events are at the Bigfoot
Well,
Festival?
it's just funny you should ask because the first line is there's something for everyone.
Well,
here's the full schedule.
I got to be honest with you. But before you get into that schedule, Chris, the only thing that could get me to a Bigfoot festival is if Bigfoot himself is signing autographs at a booth.
I don't see him in the lineup. However, what I do see is Friday, May 17th, now this is the first, maybe this is the first year they've ever done this. I don't know. The first annual Bigfoot Jam concert. Tyler, Bigfoot Jam. That's at 6 p.m. Friday, May 17th. And then the next morning, the festival actually, the ribbon is cut and drops, and the Bigfoot Festival is underway.
Is the big kickoff.
That's the big kickoff the night before. At 10 a.m. on Saturday the 18th, on Main Street in Marion, North Carolina, the festival begins.
Hey, why do you think Bigfoot has gotten so much more culturally popular?
Oh, my God. I've got to read some of the lineup. I don't know.
I mean, even people that absolutely have zero belief in Bigfoot at all. You'll see Bigfoot like air fresheners. You see Bigfoot stickers. You see Bigfoot everything.
I think a lot of it's
just
tongue-in-cheek, I hope.
It's a lot of it's just gotten so much more popular.
There is a Jeep that I see here in town all the time that's been like airbrushed with Sasquatch Hunter. And I know that one's not tongue-in-cheek. I know that one's, that dude's really, the real deal on that part. But I have seen, hell, I've got a Bigfoot sticker on my car that Dustin got for me.
You're welcome.
When you were at the Mall of America.
Yep.
I didn't stick that on there because, I love
Went to the
Bigfoot.
Mall of America, by the way. Hundreds and hundreds of stores, anything you could want.
Yep.
And the one thing I get you.
Yeah. Oh, no, you got me a shirt too, remember?
Bigfoot?
Because I wear it whenever, yeah, remember Gone Squatching?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I forgot.
You got me a t-shirt that says Gone Squatching, which I wear, by the way. The Bigfoot lineup for the Bigfoot Festival, Tyler, is...
Take his phone away.
At 12 p.m. on the opening day, they have the Bigfoot Calling Contest.
Oh, my God. Really?
At 2 o'clock, they've got the North Carolina Squatch Watchers.
I really want to hear the Bigfoot calling contest. I really want to hear that.
I do, too. I really do. I've seen, hell, we live here in Southwest Missouri. I've seen pig calling shit before.
It's hilarious.
It can't be any more absurd than that.
Can't be any more ridiculous.
And not that the pig calling isn't effective or it doesn't work. It's a bunch of people standing up there making these sounds.
Oh, it's so funny.
Pretty absurd. And that's what this would be, too. I don't know how you call a Bigfoot, so I don't even know what these sounds would be.
On the phone.
Whoever can dial him the quickest. But anyway, they've got a bunch of different stuff going on out there. They've got a bunch of bands, and I'm sure they've got booths. I was hoping to find some of the booths that were set up, but I don't see any of those listed. Like if you could buy a Bigfoot thumb keychain. This may be the first one. I don't know. But it is free. I'm going to call it the first annual because I can't see any evidence otherwise. The Bigfoot Festival.
I think what they're doing is they're riding the social popularity of Bigfoot. Yeah. I mean, that's what's going on.
I think so too. Hell, I would go if I was close.
Yeah, I would go. Why not?
I mean, this is just another way to sell some beer and stuff like that. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and hell, the Squatch Watchers are coming.
If you're wanting to get a beer, you got a couple options. Ballpark, Bigfoot Fest.
That's it. That's the two. And if they had a booth where you could learn tree knocking or...
There's got to be a tree knocking booth.
Or, urine spotting, because with Bigfoot hunters, the urine is a big part of it. They spot the urine. They look for it high up on the tree.
What?
At a high... Well, the Bigfoot wiener is going to be higher.
It is. That's true.
So,
yes.
the urine, so the physics of it work out. So the urine is going to strike the tree at a higher point. Mm-hmm. So they look for urine strikes.
Solid science here, guys. Jesus.
Tyler's only here for the hard science.
I don't have any good hard science on the Bigfoot, except for the the pee on the tree thing. Anyway, okay, so we can move on from Bigfoot. That was the only thing. So I've got another thing pulled up
we didn't
here.
really talk a whole lot last week. We just did a little bit of a recap. But the lady that we had on, I thought that she had some really compelling stories. Now, we can't validate any of that.
No.
But I thought that some of her stories are pretty good.
If you look at the fact that she really didn't have any motivation, her motivation, when she first started experiencing these 25 years ago or whatever, was not to eventually be on our podcast.
No, she didn't even really she was nervous about coming on.
Yeah.
And there's a lady that I know whose family has experienced all kinds of paranormal stuff. And I've been talking with her about coming on the podcast. Part of her thing is she said, okay, that's great, but you can't use our family name. You can't mention our name at all. So they don't want any fame from it at all.
When I was talking last time about, I think it was last time, about the most recent Mothman thing in Chicago. And then I started looking into like the air traffic controllers and the pilots. And all of them said, look, if I didn't have my co-pilot in there with me, I wouldn't have ever even said anything, because it's just so ridiculous. I'm not going to come out and say this.
Right.
Like I'm scared and nervous, and I'm worried about
you don't want to be labeled as a nut job.
But look,
and that's what's going to happen.
Well, it's the same thing with ghosts.
Well, it's the same thing with it's the same thing with Bigfoot. I mean, I brought up the Bigfoot Festival, and I don't want to talk about Bigfoot, but I'm using him as a point to kind of make fun of it, make light of it. But I will say there are, and I'm not saying I believe in it, but there are compelling stories from people who really don't have any motivation to make it up. Could they be mistaken that it was something else? Likely. But there's still some really good stories out there.
That's the thing you got to look at. You have to look at things like, okay, did they profit from this?
Yeah.
Was there money being made? Did other people witness this? And when those answers are correct, and when those answers are the ones I'm looking for, that's when I pay attention.
Some of the most famous paranormal stories in history, like Amityville, they had every motivation to make it up.
Yes.
If you look into the full story, and I'm not saying they did, but in that particular, it's like the most famous cases, even The Conjuring, there's a little bit of gray area there too.
As soon as rights to stories start changing hands and getting sold, and you lose a lot of credibility for me.
I mean, you could even make that argument with Edwin Becker, who I've met, and I believe him. I 100% believe him. But if you're going to make the argument, you got to apply it to everybody. The argument could be made in the same way that he also has profited off of his story, which he has.
He has, but that's on the back end of it.
It's always going to be on the.
Well, I guess they always will be, but it's I don't know.
But look, let's pretend like for a minute that your house, you go home tonight and it turns into Amityville, right? Yeah. God forbid. Like, let's pretend that happens. Okay. And all those experiences that they experience you have.
Right.
You went through hell. When you're out on the other side of it, you would be like, well, I might as well make some money from this.
Well, I know. And that's what they always say about Bob Lazar, the UFO guy. They're like, well, he's, making money off. Well, hell, so are all these other people, and you believe them.
Right. Yeah.
But, and I want to back up a little. I was not saying that I think Edwin Becker made it up so he could sell coffee mugs, which he does. I mean, I truly believe that his story happened, because he's always reluctant to talk about it when he does. But I see the point you're making is, hell, if I'm going to go through this, I'm going to make a little money off of it too.
Right.
But as soon as you start doing that, for some of us at least, it waters down the story.
It'd be hard not
to
see it as like a light at the end of the tunnel type thing.
Of course. I absolutely would be the same.
But it also will, and you just got to expect it to ruin your credibility a little bit too.
Yeah, it's really hurt the Amityville story. The more you look into it, it's even hurt Ed and Lorraine Warren's, entire.
Who, by the way, their whole story is so compelling. Like it's crazy.
Are you talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren?
Yeah.
Like their life's work? Yeah.
Like some of it is just so. There's evidence there.
Yeah.
Like, better evidence than we've ever caught.
Well, hell, they're tied into both Amityville. They're in The Conjuring. They're in the Conjuring story. Okay, that's right. But if you go looking into their personal lives, I mean, hell, and like I said, the same thing happened with Bob Lazar. They got to looking. It's like, well, he had a hooker one or something. What was that? I don't even remember.
Oh, Bob Lazar was,
He had a prostitute or something one time. I don't know. But that he had a prostitute doesn't negate the fact that he might have worked on a UFO. Right. I mean, I don't know that the two necessarily cancel each other out.
Built a freaking jet car in his garage.
Right.
Like, you got to know some things to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, that documentary I was telling you about, that
I was going to look up that other
that Y-Files episode about demonic possession.
What is the channel that people can...
Oh, man. The Y-Files is huge. It's really, really good.
WHY
Yes.
Files. Okay.
And he actually does what we do. Like he looks at the evidence, and at the very end of the episode, he says, okay, well, this is what I found. This is the stuff that can be corroborated or true. This is the stuff that's probably nonsense. And he's very level-headed. But this last one I read, it was about a demonic possession case I've never heard of before. You probably have, Chris, because you're into that a lot more than I am. But there are police reports that you can find. And there are hospital nurses witnessed and doctors in a room witnessed this supposedly possessed child walk backwards up a wall.
That was in a home.
And flip to the other side.
That was in a home.
Well, there's a medical record that has been released somehow, and then
there is, and you're gonna think I'm making this up, but if you look it up, you'll see that I'm not. There is iPhone video of this happening in a home.
Can you post that on our website?
I'm gonna want to watch it again now that I've said it out loud. But this home is now owned by guess who?
Oh,
Zach
Baggins.
Yep.
This might be the same one then, because he bought this house too.
He has a series called, I think it's called Demon House.
He went there. That might be it, because he went there and did an investigation.
This is it.
And then demolished it.
Yes.
Okay, but let's come back to the same thing that we said earlier. The fact that it happened there and it really happened, and then Zach flies in to buy it, does not necessarily mean it didn't happen.
Oh, no, it doesn't. I wasn't saying that at all.
No, I was presenting it as a case that has a lot of credibility. Because, I mean, there are numerous police officers, if you trust them, they're professionals, and numerous people, and medical professionals that witnessed this happen. Like 3 or 4 grown men having to restrain a small child because of just some ridiculous strength.
Wow.
And there's even a video of a woman who is supposedly possessed, and her voice, man, like I thought it was post-processing, honestly, and I'm still not sure it isn't, but they say it's not. They say that she sounded like this, and when she's talking normally, it's the lightest, most feminine voice you could imagine.
Right.
And then when she's in one of her episodes, it turns into just something out of
Does it sound like a demon sounds in a movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've got it muted here. I found the video of the kid walking up the wall.
It's like walking up backwards.
Yes. We're just watching it for our own benefit. But so this is the house. This is the Demon House. There's a whole series on, is it Discovery Plus or Netflix or one of those? I don't remember. It's Zach Baggins. He's only involved because he bought it. Leading up to the point, where all the stuff happened, Zach Baggins had no involvement in it whatsoever. This is a home, and here comes the video. I was going to read more, but here, I'll wait till the video plays so you guys can see it. You want me to fast forward into it a little bit? We're getting there. It is. See him going? Ty. That's the actual video. What? So this is it, Dustin. If you wanted to, I don't know if you want to come around here to see.
It's not the actual video.
What do you mean?
With the
is this a reenactment?
The slow motion water falling to the ground and the footstep. That's editing.
What are you talking about?
That is not an actual video.
No. That's a reenactment. Okay, that's the reenactment. Yeah, that's a reenactment. No, there of this one, because there is a video. They didn't catch the whole episode, but they turned the video on in time to see the kid take 2 more steps up the wall backwards and then fall. I've got to find it, and I'm not laughing about it. Well, I am. The TV series is called Demon House, and I'm trying to find where this house is, and I can't remember.
For someone like me who doesn't know anything about this, is this house supposedly the house is haunted, or this is a one-off case that happened with one kid?
No,
What's their belief?
The series rotates around a possessed kid who lived in this house.
Okay.
Supposedly he spoke in a demonic voice and was doing all this, walking up the wall, backwards or whatever.
If you can get me video of a kid walking up a wall backwards, I will sit there and I will give you that you may have a demon there.
Yes, I agree.
If you can do that.
That what we just watched was that was a reenactment. That was not the video I've seen before. But the video I saw before could also have been a reenactment. Who the hell knows? Maybe there's not actually.
If you go back to Amityville, what actually did happen in that house? Not what Hollywood has run with it. How much of the Amityville movie that everybody and their brother has seen, how much of that is based on stuff that really happened there?
It depends on who you listen to. What did happen for sure is that there was a murder in the house. That happened 100%. That's how they got the house so cheap. That was like in 1970 something. There was a murder in the house, and then this family that the movie's based on move in after the murder happened, and
they're the next family in after the murder.
Yeah, the story of Amityville rotates around the family that moved in after the murder happened.
Okay.
So what they say happened is, the husband, I think their name was Defoe, or was that the original people? I can't remember now. But either way, the people who moved in, he becomes possessed by the same demon of the guy who killed his family the first time. Because the murder that I speak of that happened in the beginning, a guy killed his family with an axe, I think. Maybe I'm dramatizing that a little bit based on the movie. I don't remember. But he No, it was a gun. He shot them. He shot his family. And then, supposedly this guy, I think his last name was Defoe, his personality changed, and then he also had an axe and was attempting to murder his kids or something. I don't 100% know.
Supposedly with Amityville, that it is a demon that possesses the people and makes them murder them, but the house, there was no blood coming down the walls or any of that stuff.
What we're talking about, Dustin, is the truth versus fiction on the Amityville original story, and I can't remember what's truth versus fiction.
Well, it's been so muddied now.
Other than the murder that happened, which did happen. And then the next family moved in, and then that's where it becomes a little blurry. I know in the movie, if you watch it, the house fills up with flies. I don't think that part actually happened.
I have no idea. I don't know what's true or not true anymore. That's the problem when things get sensationalized and made into 15 different movies, as things get added in and become part of the lore. But I want to leave you with this real quick. Look up Father Amorth, or Amorth, A-M-O-R-T-H. He was the Catholic Church's chief exorcist, which is a real job, by the way.
Gabriel Amorth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, look him up and look at some of the things that he has documented.
Okay.
Because his last exorcism, he allowed to be videoed.
He's done 60,000.
He was the chief exorcist of the Catholic. Now, you guys know I'm about as religious as that coffee cup.
Yeah.
But I do think he has seen some things.
Yeah.
When you're in that line of work, I suppose you probably have to.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a movie based on him called The Pope's Exorcist.
There is. I watched it.
Okay.
How long did this guy have that gig?
He did that from 1925 to 2016. And I say that as though I had this fact in my head. I just happened to look up that exact thing.
Not long before he died, he did an exorcism where he allowed it to be videoed. Watch it.
Okay. And this guy's name, by the way, is Father, and you can find this by Googling it. That's what I did. Father Amorth. I don't know if we're saying that right. A-M-O-R-T-H. He looks like the Emperor on Star Wars.
He does look like Palpatine. Correct.
Or does he look more like Darth Vader under the mask? Look here, John. I always say I'm not making fun of him, but I clearly am.
That's Vader.
That's Vader under the mask.
I'm not making fun of him. He just looks like Darth Vader under the mask.
So anyway,
watch him, and if you can, dig up his last exorcism, which was allowed to be videoed.
Okay, that was
this
probably
woman,
sometime in the.
Which, by the way, the exorcism didn't work because after he died, she descended into just. She also died or disappeared, or there was something there. I don't really remember that particular story.
Now, did they replace him with somebody else, or that?
I mean, it's a job title in the exorcism.
Someone always does it
in the Catholic Church. Somebody right now is the chief exorcist, who's the head honcho of exorcisms, and he was actually like very scientific. First, I say that as he's as scientific as you can get as far as being affiliated with a church.
Right.
But before he would do an exorcism, he would make them go and get a psychological evaluation. He would make sure go and get them checked up by doctors. The exorcism was the last resort, and it was like 0.01% of his cases actually made it there. Everything else was weeded out and vetted. So he would only do like the ones he was sure where there was something actually there. Try to find the video if you can of the woman they did, because that's the one I was talking about, where she was very like feminine and light voice, and then like she just turned into like a.
And that's a video of it happening in real time. I mean,
yes, like they got a filmmaker to come in and video his exorcism.
I was just reading about this dude. He's pretty fascinating. He didn't start becoming an exorcist till he was 60.
What?
Yeah, and then he did 60,000
exorcisms
from that point until he died.
He did 60,000 of them from. When did he take on this role? Because he couldn't have been 60 in 1925.
He was
there's just no way.
He was an ordained priest in 1951.
If you become ordained priest,
35
you live
years
longer.
later, he became what we're talking about now, his role of the head exorcist. And he did it and he was 60 years old at that point.
Of course, the movie sensationalizes things and turns him into something that he really was. The movie's so weird, man. It almost makes him seem like a superhero. Like, it's really strange.
I don't have the movie pulled up. I was just reading some facts about this guy.
But his real life is fascinating. I've read about him, too. And some of his cases are really interesting to read about.
And what were you talking about? Just looking him up in general, or was there like a documentary?
General, read about him, and then try to find the video. The actual video of him doing his exorcism, and it's worth watching if you believe in this kind of stuff.
Maybe when we come back next week, I'll have watched some of this by then. Good Lord, this guy's done so many. So you're saying look up the last one he did that was documented?
No, look up try to find the video. There's only been one recorded ever.
Okay.
I think we need to watch that video. Have Ty do that and talk about it next week.
Have Ty do it.
Well, have Ty, if Ty said he found it.
Mm-hmm. He did find it.
You can send us the link and we can check it out.
Okay. Yeah, this is, I only made fun of that because I remember one time you sent me a video of an exorcism. You remember? I can't even go in. Do you remember you sent me this video and then you added your own dialogue to it? It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It wasn't one of this guy's exorcism. So this guy's name is Father Amorth, Amorth. If you want to look him up, I'm going to look him up too. By the time we convene next week.
People that are really deep into this rabbit hole already know who he is.
I don't. I've never heard that name.
No, me either.
I know when I Googled him, the first thing that came up was the movie The Pope's Exorcist, which I do know. I've never watched it, but I'm familiar with the movie, and I didn't realize that was based on an actual person.
Yeah, he's a real guy. Or he was a real guy. He's now dead. But
so that would be interesting to look up. That's the kind of rabbit hole I don't mind going down.
And I'm not saying that like I believe in like exorcisms, but I'm saying that like he was definitely around things that can't be explained.
Yeah, I can tell just by skimming here. It looks like he had some premonition stuff in here too.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll definitely...
Just the video alone, I forgot her name, of the woman that was supposedly possessed.
Okay. We, again, want to solicit anybody who's got any kind of paranormal story. Lights in the sky, ghosts, you name it. Anything you got, email us, contact@mwghosthunters.com, and we'll have a back and forth about maybe getting on the podcast and telling, all of our listeners worldwide about what happened to you, because that's one aspect of, the paranormal we're trying to do a little more every now and then, as you get our angle of it on this side of things. We want to get the actual people who, in the trenches experiencing stuff to tell their stories too. So you can email us, contact@mwghosthunters.com, and then when we come back next week, we're going to talk about this Father Amorth guy. I'm going to read and watch whatever I can about him between now and then.
More Dark Matter next week from Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri with Midwest Ghost Hunters.